Hare Krishna. Welcome to this part 4 of the series of Bhaktisiddhānta being the revolutionary preacher of the absolute truth. And in this session, we will continue from where we left off in the previous session. And this is this is a chapter called The Revolutionary Preacher of Truth from the book Sri Bhaktisiddhānta Vaibhava, Volume 1. And in this, we will study the method, the mood and the method of preaching uncompromisingly, as we learn from the lessons derived from the life and teachings of Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura. So we'll say our Mangalacharan prayers and we will continue from where we left off. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Namine Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Dayitaya Kripabdhaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dayine Prabhave Namaha Madhuryojjvala Premadhya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Viruddhapa Siddhanta Dhvantaharine Namo Gaurakishoraya Sakshad Vairagyamurtaye Vipralambhara Sambhode Padambujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidanandanamine Gaurashakti Swarupaya Rupanugavarayate Gauravirbhava Bhumestvam Nirdeshta Sajjana Priyaha Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannathaya Te Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupaswarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhaktashaktikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Surato Pangor Mama Mandamatergati Matsarvasva Padam Bhojo Radha Madana Mohano Divyad Vrindaranya Kalpadrumadha श्रीमद्रत्नागारसिंहासनस्थौ श्रीमद्राधा श्रीलगोविन्ददेवौ प्रेष्ठालीभिः सेव्यमानौ स्मरामि श्रीमान् रासरसारम्भी वंशीवटतटस्थितः कर्षन् वेणुस्वनैर्गोपीनाथः श्रियेस्तु नः। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. All right, so we will continue from where we left off in this chapter, Revolutionary Preacher of Truth, or that is the description of Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura's mood and method of uncompromising preaching of Krishna Tattva, or the Absolute Truth. He exhorted his disciples to follow the example of Sri Radha in not giving up service to Krishna despite inviting public scorn by such adamancy. And he put in perspective the difficulty and thanklessness of his task. So we read that part in the previous session at the end, that how he connected this Radharani's mood to the preaching, how one must take risks. And we showed Mukundamala Stotra verse 42. Durvadam parighosayantu manuja. Yeah, Durvadam parighosayantu manuja. So let the people spread evil gossip about me, but I will just speak Krishna Katha. All right, so from now we will go to the next part. And he put in perspective the difficulty and thanklessness of his task. So there are about two quotations here. Millions of materially motivated speakers will go to hell, but someday someone will realize the independent truth, spoken forthrightly, and be saved. It may take hundreds of lives or millions of years before someone will be able to comprehend this confidential reality. It is not possible to make even one individual do so without spending hundreds of gallons of blood. Wow. Let's see where it is from. SPU, I think Srila Prabhupada Upadeshamrita. Prabhupada Upadeshamrita. It's a Bengali compilation of Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura's works. And this is from that. So, here he's saying that millions of materially motivated speakers will go to hell. So, these materially motivated speakers can be in different categories. Some may speak like, motivational speakers who will motivate the people materially and who are also materialists. Now, there are other speakers who speak about the absolute truth, but the professional Bhagavatam reciters, they do it for money, they do it as a business. So, they also cannot save anyone. They cannot save anyone. In fact, here he's saying will go to hell. Materially motivated speakers. So, materially motivated speakers of the Bhagavatam. Like Bhagavatam, the beginning of Bhagavatam is Dharma Projita Kaitavotra. The materially motivated religion is kicked out of Srimad Bhagavatam. But if I make a business, a materially motivated business out of Bhagavatam, I'm just a living contradiction, that means. So, I'm speaking on a subject that is against materially motivated paths, which Krishna condemns in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarvadharman Parityajya, and I am accepting that in the name of Bhagavatam. That's very offensive. So they will go to hell. But someday, someone will realize the independent truth spoken forthrightly and be saved. It may take hundreds of lives or millions of years before someone will be able to comprehend this confidential reality. Wow. This is this is not, how to say, confidence inducing. We all want to go back to Krishna, right, in this lifetime. Here it is said, Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura is saying, it may take hundreds of lives or millions of years before someone will be able to comprehend this confidential reality. This is bidirectional. One direction is, for the practitioner who is advancing, it may take millions of lives, hundreds of lifetimes for him to actually come to this point of understanding the confidential reality of Krishna. Jai Krishna Tattvavit Jai Guru Hoy. That Krishna Tattvavit, to become Krishna Tattvavit is not so easy. I mean, recently there is a huge debate in ISKCON about making women as gurus. It's not about even women and man. It's about whether the person is Krishna Tattvavita or not. Kiba Shudra, Kibanyasi, Kiba Vipra, Kibanyasi, Shudra Kenanoy, Jai Krishna Tattvavita, Shai Guru Hoy. It doesn't matter whether one is born as a Sudra or whether he's a sannyasi or Brahmana. If he is a Krishna Tattvavita, if he is a knower of Krishna's absolute truth about Krishna, he is qualified. But they think it is a very cheap thing, Krishna Tattvavita. It may take hundreds of lives or millions of years. That is one direction. Another direction is from the preacher's point of view. The preacher, we often want quick results. Oh, we are distributing books, so we need to get so many devotees. I'm preaching, so people must become strong. We think like that. We should preach uncompromisingly, and we have to be forceful, and we have to be practicing as well. But you see what he's saying. A preacher, if he preaches for hundreds of lifetimes, maybe then one person can actually understand. It's not so easy to find a man who can understand this. Muktanam api siddhanam Narayana Parayanaha. What is that? Sudurlabha Prashantatma Kotishvapi Mahamune. I think Vasudeva Parayana. Kotishvapi Mahamune. That means Mahamuni. Among Mahamunis, not just ordinary philosophers, Munis, but Mahamunis, great philosophers, great sages, even found in the amongst the higher planetary systems like Janaloka, Maharloka, Tapoloka. Even those, among those, Kotishvapi Mahamune Sudurlabha Prashantatma Ku Vasudeva Parayanaha Muktanam api Siddhanam. So it is very, very rare to actually find one pure devotee. Such a pure devotee can understand this confidential reality, as Krishna said to Arjuna, Bhakto sime sakha cheti rahasyam hi etaduttamam. Because you are my devotee and friend, therefore I am giving you this transcendental secret. But that's not a very cheap qualification. Bhakto sime sakha cheti means among Kotishvapi Mahamune and Muktanam api Siddhanam, Vasudeva Parayanaha, Sudurlabha Prashantatma, Kotishvapi Mahamune. So Vasudeva Parayana is not a cheap thing. Only such person can understand the confidential reality. Rahasyam hetad uttamam. It is not possible to make even one individual do so without spending hundreds of gallons of blood. So sometimes it is frustrating when we're trying to preach and people do not take it seriously, but we should be very, very patient. Very, very patient. Because we cannot expect people to actually take it up seriously. Having said that, those who are just advancing and who are watching this may not be preachers yet or whatever. Don't take it lightly. Oh, you see, you see, they have to be patient, they can't push me like that. That's not the lesson. Ultimately, how long do I want to suffer in this world? If I want to make it back to Godhead, if I want to become completely Krishna conscious, I have to take it seriously. As a practitioner, I should take it seriously. As Prabhupada taught us, we should be strict with oneself and lenient with others. And lenient means not too lenient. Don't be comfortable. Yeah. He's not too lenient. This is not a good preacher. He's too strict. Always he's getting on my case. No, it is good. But if I'm that strict with others, I should be way more stricter with myself. Right? So that's the thing. So relatively, I should be lenient to others. I should be strict with oneself. So, um, so all of that we should understand. But yeah, the one thing is, independent truth should be spoken forthrightly. Even if nobody hears, people disrespect, whatever it is, we should speak the truth. Then, next quotation from Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura. We tell everyone, you understand little. Thus, we have gained numerous enemies and friends. When one contradicts those conceptions opposed to bhakti, namely karma, jnana, and anyabhilasha, and establishes Bhakti Siddhanta, it becomes necessary to buck the current thoughts of the world concerned with the body and mind. Buck. What is buck? This is the thing. You know what? I used to give these classes from the MacBook. The MacBook is now a little bit defective, so I switched to Windows for today's session, and it does not have a dictionary there. So, but I have an idea. Let me. Okay. Buck means oppose. I want to take my dictionary out so that all the words we can. There are many meanings for the word buck. What? Resist. Resist. Go against. Oppose. Okay. So, I have another dictionary application on the side, so I think you might not be able to see it on the live stream. But yeah, to oppose. That was clear from the reading itself, from the sentence itself, but I just wanted to make sure everything is fully understood. And if there is some other angle to that word, maybe we can go into the rabbit hole of that explanation as well. So that's why I went and saw the meaning. Now, establishes Bhakti Siddhanta, it becomes necessary to buck the current thoughts of the world concerned with the body and mind. And that takes a lot of effort. Now, reading on. As the saying goes, a dumb person has no enemies. If one simply sits in one's house silently thinking of one's own welfare, there will certainly be nothing of import to tell the world. There's nothing important to tell the world. But we cannot tolerate that people who have achieved the rare human birth, a birth suitable for worshipping the Lord, simply tread the path of misfortune, of non-devotion. We are obliged to repeatedly call others to topics of devotion. I will die soon, after which no one will come to prevent you from your enjoyment. At that time, you will be able to enjoy to your heart's content. in rejecting sense indulgence and instead talking of satisfying Krishna's senses, I have become a source of disgruntlement for many. They have not missed a chance to attempt to kill me. Some of them think he scuttled our court case. Others opine our position has been diminished. Scuttle. Let's see, scuttle. Scuttle. Destroy. Abandon or destroy. So he destroyed our court cases, or he ran our court case, and others opine our position has become diminished. You know who is thinking our position has been diminished? Especially the Smartha Brahmanas. And everybody goes to them for, and everybody thinks they are very high in society, and pleasing them means pleasing God, and then they became very proud and puffed up. So their position was being diminished, and all other kind of so-called gurus and babas and yogis and incarnations, all their position was being diminished by the preaching of Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura and Gaudiya Math. So they were having their own opinions like that. One cannot help becoming the butt of dislike for people absorbed in greed, egoism, prestige, and duplicity. If Krishna protects a person, no one can do anything to him. May the actual truth prevail. So, depending fully on Krishna, Rakshishati to Vishwasa, one of the 6 aspects of surrender, one has to preach despite the whole world turning against you. One must be confident to preach the absolute truth without compromise. Going forward, so the mood here is in the quote just now presented that a dumb person has no enemies. I mean, if one sits at home, nobody will be his enemy, and he can be comfortable like that. But our job is not to be comfortable. Our job is to take all pains to spread Krishna consciousness. That's actual love. Srila Saraswati Thakur perfectly manifested the mood of Sri Prahlad Maharaj, the archetypal preacher, who had said, Naivodvije paraduratya vaitaranyas त्वद्वीर्यगायनमहामृतमग्न चित्तः शोचे ततो विमुखचेतस इन्द्रियार्थ Maya Sukhaya Bharamudvahato Vimodhan. O best of great personalities, I am not at all afraid of material existence, for wherever I stay, I am fully absorbed in thoughts of your glories and activities. My only anxiety is for the fools and rascals who are making elaborate plans for mundane happiness and maintaining their families, societies, and countries. I am simply concerned with love for them. So, those who are maintaining families, societies, and countries. So, from ordinary householders to absolute, national leaders on the international scene, we have to have anxiety for them because they're making elaborate plans for their own self, for their family, for their community, for their nation. They're always making plans as if those plans will save them, but none of them are going to save them. They're going to repeat this cycle of birth and death. So that is very concerning. The whole leaders and the population, everybody is blind, and how can we just watch by from the sidelines when everything is going chaos? There is a nice meme actually. There is a very nice meme. Wait, I'll see if I can pull it out. Yeah. Okay. I'm just going to show you now. I'm actually going to show you this. Can't believe I'm showing you, but okay. This is actually very, very nice. Very apt. Very apt. We should not be like this. Okay, that's what I want to show. We should not be like this. Oh no. This. Yeah. Look at this. This is a meme where this girl, this is a photo that was taken. At the back, you can see the fire is, I mean, the house is on fire. And here, this girl is just smiling. We cannot be like this as devotees. We cannot like smile when the whole world is going on fire. That's not compassion. Like, of course, this girl was, I mean, it was a weird photo that was taken. It became a comedy meme. But yeah, this is how we should not be. We should not do this. So we should actually be concerned. Like, those firefighters fighting there, going near the fire and, pouring water or whatever it takes to get the fire down. That's what we should do. So we as devotees cannot watch by the sidelines and then smile at the whole world. Samsara davana lalidha loka is going on and then we are just smiling away. No, we cannot be happy like that. We should take all pains. That's called paradukha dukhi. I'll show you. वैराग्ययुग भक्तिरसं प्रयत्नैर अपाययन् मनभिप्सुमन्धं कृपाम्बुधिर्यः परदुःखदुःखी सनातनस्तं प्रभुमाश्रयामि. Paradukha-dukhi. Kripambudhir yah paradukha-dukhi. So Vaishnava he is a kripambudhi. That's why we say vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha. Kripa sindhu and kripambudhi is same, the ocean of mercy. And they are called paradukha-dukhi. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he composed a song where he says, parasukha-dukhi sada mithya bhashi. Parasukha-dukhi. Okay. निज सुख लागे पापे नाही डोरी दयाहीन स्वार्थ परो. निज सुख लागे पापे नाही डोरी दयाहीन स्वार्थ परो. दयाहीन स्वार्थ पर. See? पर सुखे दुखी सदा मिथ्य भाषी पर दुख सुख करो. So this is Amar Jivan Sada Pape Rata. So this song, is it? Yeah, this is the one. Amar Jivan Sada Pape Rata. In this he said, Para sukhe dukhi sada mithya bhashi para dukha sukha karo. I have never hesitated to perform sinful acts for my own enjoyment, devoid of all compassion, concerned only with my own selfish interests. I am remorseful seeing others happy. I am a perpetual liar, and the misery of others is a source of great pleasure for me. Just like that photo I have just shown. The misery of others is a source of great pleasure for me. Somebody else's house is burning, I am laughing away. Now again, That girl, it was a. It is not that she was smiling. It looks very scary that she, as if she put the house on fire. Whatever. That's a whole another story. But it perfectly captures the materialist. It perfectly captures the materialist who is paradukha sukhi and parasukha dukhi. But a Vaishnava is paradukha dukhi, parasukha sukhi. But then we may ask, hey, but everybody is, somebody is partying, happy, he's happy. So a Vaishnava should feel happy for him. He's partying, okay, good. Another meaning of parasukha sukhi is the others should have parasukha, not aparasukha. Transcendental happiness, because the ordinary mundane happiness is actually full of distress. What is that? Sukham hi tuchham. 7945. Yan maithunadi grihamedhi sukham hi tuchham kanduyanena karayor iva dukkham tripyena tripyanti neha kripana bahudukha bhajah kandutivan manasijam vishaheta dhira. Sex life is compared to the rubbing of two hands to relieve an itch. The Grihamedhis, so-called Grihasthas, one second, let me just. Grihamedhis, so-called Grihasthas who have no spiritual knowledge, think that this itching is the greatest platform of happiness, although actually it is a source of distress. The Kripanas, the fools who are just the opposite of Brahmanas, are not satisfied by repeated sensuous enjoyment. Those who are Dhira, however, who are sober and who tolerate this itching, are not subjected to the sufferings of fools and rascals. So, their happiness is full of misery. But when devotees are so called unhappy, that is actually happiness. Seva sukha dukkha parama sampada nashaye avidya dukkha. Seva sukha dukkha. Happiness and distress in the course of rendering service unto you is the greatest treasury which destroys the distress of nations. So, in the matter of seva, sukha and dukkha are parama sampada. Nashaye avidya dukkha. So, they're great, and that's why the separation, the vipralambha, is a seemingly great dukkha, but actually it is greatest sukha. So, there is apara sukha and apara dukkha, which are both actually dukkha only. And then there is para sukha and para dukkha, which are both sukha, which are both parasukha, transcendental happiness. So parasukha sukhi, paradukha dukhi. There are some questions, but I think it's good that we put the questions maybe to a later time. A verse is mentioned in the comments, so let's go there. 6, 10, 8. Wow, this is actually very nice. 6, 10, 8. यो ध्रुवेणात्मना नाथा न धर्मं न यशः पुमान् ईहेत भूतदयया सशोच्यः स्थावरैरपि. O demigods, one who has no compassion for humanity in its suffering and does not sacrifice his impermanent body for the higher causes of religion, religious principles, or eternal glory, is certainly pitied even by the immovable beings. Whereas the opposite, what is that? This one. What is that? Shiva drinks poison. 8739, yes. 8739. प्राणैः स्वैः प्राणिनः पान्ति साधवः क्षणभङ्गुरैः बद्धवैरेषु भूतेषु मोहितेष्वात्ममायया. People in general, being bewildered by the illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are always engaged in animosity toward one another. But devotees, even at the risk of their own temporary lives, try to save them. So here, Lord Shiva, he took the risk by, in swallowing poison, kept it here for the benefit of the world. So that actually is the situation of a devotee. A devotee, he may risk his own temporary life to save them. Whereas others, just now we have read, has no compassion for humanity and suffering and does not sacrifice his impermanent body for the higher causes of religious principles or eternal glory, is certainly pitied even by the immovable beings. So it's polar opposites. All right, so going back to that article again. Okay. Most saintly, प्रायेण देवमुनयः स्वविमुक्तिकामा मौनं चरन्ति विजनेन परार्थनिष्ठाः नैतान् विहाय कृपणान् विमुमुक्ष एको नान्यं त्वदस्य शरणं भ्रमतोऽनुपश्ये. Most saintly persons, desiring their own deliverance, go to the hills or forest to meditate with vows of silence. They are not interested in delivering others. But I do not wish to be liberated alone, leaving aside all these poor fools and rascals. I know that without Krishna consciousness, without taking shelter at your lotus feet, one cannot be happy. Therefore, I wish to bring them back to the shelter of your lotus feet. That's the preacher's mood. To Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvati's disciples, several individuals proffered what they considered well-intentioned suggestions for improving his performance. So, many people came to Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura's disciples and offered them some advice, suggestions, well-intentioned suggestions for improving his performance. Whose performance? Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura's performance while speaking. They wanted to offer suggestions to improve Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura's performance while speaking. Look at the audacity. Now, they said, if he would just be a little more sensitive to public opinion and more positive in his outlook, if he would look for the good in others and not grouse so much, and not be so insistent on always speaking the straight facts, then surely today no other religious leader would have as many supporters as he. Look at that. It sounds nice, right? Yeah, actually, maybe I should tone down a little bit. He was not moved like that. But let's see. What else they say? If he did not forbid all kinds of intoxicants, then right now thousands would surrender to him. Another would say, he could have been tremendously successful by adjusting to smarta practices and not introducing new ideas about Brahmanism. Instead of um, introducing things like, initiating people who are not born as Brahmanas, making them into Brahmanas, or stuff like that, or even Guru or Sannyas, how it is. He himself was from Kayastha community. Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura was from a Shudra lineage. But look at his um, proficiency, look at his erudition, and look at his scholastic abilities, that he far outshone any Brahmana, and he outshines any Brahmana in the universe. That kind of power he had. So anyway, he brought forth the Bhagavat principle of what is Brahmanical culture, and he did not hesitate to go against the currents of the worldly thoughts of the people. It would be totally unacceptable to people, but he did not mind. He did not mind. They say if you would have just adjusted to the smarta practice, then they will see, okay, yeah, these guys are bona fide, they're following everything. But how come these people are doing like this? Oh, they are not bona fide. People got this kind of ideas, and they Gaudiya seemingly got a bad impression among the people. But actually, what Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura is doing here, he did not consider what is the value of their bad opinion. Who are they? Are they good people that their bad opinion is actually bad? Good people means in the eyes of Krishna, are they absolute in their opinion? That if they consider something bad, it is actually bad? So that has to be determined first. Just because the majority of the people say something doesn't mean it's right. That does not mean everything they say is wrong. Some things we have to abide by rules and regulations. But especially when we're introducing spiritual culture, Krishna consciousness, it will go against the current of the world. That's the precise mission that we have. We have to go against the current of the world and introduce them God consciousness, which this world is filled with atheism. So they want to go against. So bringing God consciousness is always a challenge into this godless society, especially so in Kali Yuga. So, and then they also say, if he had at least orally endorsed groups that he instead chose to berate, the gurus thereof and their unlimited followers would have submitted to him as their universal head. So, they said these kind of suggestions. They gave these kind of suggestions. Oh, if he had only orally, even if he doesn't follow everything the other groups do or something, at least orally praise them a little bit. Give them some face. He could have had unlimited followers who would have submitted to him as their universal head. You know what? ISKCON is doing like that now. They are going to some, Babas and yogis and, popular Babas, popular Swamis, popular Gurus, and smiling and, rubbing shoulders with them and kind of being in their good books so that their followers may eventually come to us. Nobody will come. Okay? Like that, nobody will come. And even if they come for something else. We want to present as it is. We cannot mix with these people. We just can't. Nowadays, who is this? Bageshwar Dham Baba. There is one Baba like that in the North India. Our ISKCON devotees went and had meetings with him, and he will praise. He will praise. Oh, Prabhupada ji, he took our Sanatan Dharma to other countries, and he made it so. He was such a powerful preacher. They will say something like that, and it all sounds good. Yeah, actually, he's praising Prabhupada, so we should praise him. No, we should not praise him. He praising Prabhupada is good for him. Okay, that's some devotional service there, but they may do it for an ulterior motive. To kind of unite everybody and then say, oh, I'm actually good with everyone, so they will take them as the guru. So we should not deviate. And now there is another guru in Vrindavan, Premanand Maharaj, who is very popular now. and all his devotees are also sometimes visiting him, and But I just like last week spoke to one of his disciples who recently took Diksha from him. And I asked him, okay, what is your sadhana? What you all do? What is your philosophy? He just told me a little bit. Every single point was wrong. Every single point. There is a private mantra that they chant. The guru gives the mantra, and you can't say that mantra out loud. They follow, Radha. They always glorify Radharani more. Private mantra. What is this? Private mantra. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was dead against that. If God's name is so powerful, why should it be private? Yes, there is Gayatri mantra. Yes, that is Brahmanical initiation, and there is a Gayatri mantra which is chanted privately. But the mantra that we are chanting on our beads, that has to be public. That has to be a common mantra for everyone. So I asked him, is that a Gayatri mantra? No, it's on the beads. And then that's not Gayatri mantra. Then you have to chant. They chant like 11 rounds, it seems. So what is that private mantra thing? Number one. Number two, do you read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam? No, they have some of their own book. You should read, even if it's a Acharya's book or whatever, you have to read the standard books as well. Otherwise, it has to coincide. And the knowledge must be standard, Krishna's knowledge. And they said, he said, we want to become sahachari of gopis. We want to become maidservant of gopis. I said, you don't talk about gopis now. Gopis cannot sleep in the night. They are thinking of Krishna and they're running to him and they're unable to sleep in the night. You are unable to wake up also in the morning. So don't talk about the gopis. So there's worlds apart. So don't even go there. You're nowhere even qualified to speak about gopis. I am not qualified to speak about gopis. Let's not talk about gopis now. Start at where we need to start. Let's be very practical and honest with ourselves that I'm nowhere. I should start first. So don't go to gopis directly. Next, what parampara? Radharani parampara. I said there's no such parampara. Radharani did not become guru. She did not initiate anybody. I mean, everything he was saying was off. Everything was off. And apparently, there was a program, there was a video of him, that Maharaj. He was conducting some program, and then there was like photos or something on the table, like altar like that. And there was the Vivekananda Ramakrishna photos also. He went and did namaskar to them also. That's enough for me. Enough for me. Like all these things, none of them, not even one of them are pointing in the right direction. I said, Ramanujacharya broadcasted the name of Krishna, Om Namo Narayana. Why secret? Same with our acharyas. When Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura, when that Sakhicharan Babaji, he was invented a mantra. He invented Bhajan Nitaga Radhesham, Japa Hare Krishna Hare Ram. He said, why Japa Hare Krishna Hare Ram? Why not Kirtan also Hare Krishna Hare Ram? Why only Japa? That is a philosophical deviation. It's not only meant for silent chanting, it is meant for public chanting as well. So this is wrong philosophy. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sang this Hare Krishna. Why it has to be only Japa Hare Krishna Hare Ram? So that was one of the points in refuting that mantra. So again, the same point. Why it should be private? So these show, and actually there are other things as well which I did not speak to him, but others told me. I don't remember. I need to refresh my memory, and then I need to kind of keep my tabs on this group, because if this, it was concerning. I did not know about that person until then. Like when he said, I am initiated by such and such, I said, okay, what do you all follow? Then one by one, all these things were coming and nothing was bona fide. So I'm sorry. I mean, we cannot support that. I told him, your guru is bogus. He said, I cannot hear blasphemy of my guru. I said, well, I can't hear blasphemy of Radharani and Krishna. And I can't hear that. I can't hear blasphemy of our scriptures, of our Guru Parampara, that you have no Parampara. You are Gopi Sahachari, you are insulting the Gopis. The Gopis are so cheap that you become their Sahachari. Another point he was saying, we cannot go by sadhana to God. Sadhana cannot take us to Krishna. And we have, but then I said, okay, by what? By how we can go to Krishna then? No, by the mercy of Srimati Radharani. I said, okay, by sadhana you cannot go there, which is fact. Yes, you should go into Raganuga, you should go into Ragatmika. Yeah, you should go like that. Sadhana bhakti is just the beginning. You have to attain to prema to actually go back to Krishna. Okay, I accept it. When he said sadhana cannot take you back, I said, okay, fine. Good. What is the next? How you go back then? Radharani's mercy. I said, you don't understand Radharani's mercy. Sadhana bhakti is Radharani's mercy. Because sadhana bhakti, by doing that and paying attention and trying to avoid offenses, eventually you get purified and then come to Raganuga bhakti. And then Ragatmika bhakti. And that's how you get to Radharani. How you can just go to without sadhana, just Radharani's mercy? I said, you are in the blind well, okay, deep in the well. Somebody has let down a rope. You are shouting, help me, help me, help me, and somebody let down a rope. Okay, now hold on to the rope. No, help me, help me, help me. Are you hold on to the rope which is given to you? No, help me, help me, help me. Sadhana bhakti is that rope. Bhakti Rajjum Namaste. Bhakti Rajjum means the rope of devotion. Now it is in our hands. If I hold on to it tightly, then I can be pulled up. I don't want to hold that thing and then simply mercy, mercy, mercy. So I should take to sadhana bhakti. And then it will go and purified. Eventually it will go to Raganuga bhakti. And then all this is still Vaidhi bhakti. Sorry, Vaidhi bhakti. Sadhana involves Vaidhi and Raganuga. Sorry, first is Vaidhi, Raganuga, which is both sadhana bhakti. And then there is Ragatmika bhakti. And then there is Prema. And that's how one goes. So I thought he will say, okay, there is a higher thing. So, but I knew where it was going because this is all Sahajiya. He said, I'm Gopi Sahachari. We are trying to be Gopi Sahachari. I said, no, you're Sahajiya. So, Sahajiya means taking things too cheaply. Sadhana Bhakti, if cannot get you there, I knew where it was going already. Oh, some Radha, something Gopi Bhava. So, but I asked him because I don't want to make assumptions. I asked him, when you let a fool is not known until he speaks. So I just let him speak. I said, see, I'm very concerned. I told him, I'm very concerned about you. You are not concerned about yourself. That's the problem. Because he said, no, in this life, I'm done. I'm very convinced I'm going this way. I said, okay, fine. But you do not have, um, you don't care about yourself. If you're so convinced, then you should be able to convince me. Or you should be able to defend your arguments. Whatever you're saying, you should be able to defend. But these are indefensible arguments. Like, how can you say that you don't have a parampara? Radharani parampara. What is a Radharani parampara? Our Shastras gave us what the four paramparas are on this earth for Kali Yuga. And who are you to come and say Radharani parampara? Who are you to say secret mantra? Who are you to say that Bhagavad Gita Bhagavatam is not to be really, it's not an important scriptures that you don't read? Who said that, how can you say that, directly becoming maidservant of gopis? None of these are matching. So, yeah, I went on a rabbit hole there. But honestly, we cannot endorse any of these groups. We cannot endorse. As Prabhupada showed us, 724 Adi purport. Yeah, we can't speak about gopis without the mercy of six gopis. I quoted this thing to him. Rupa Raghunatha Pade Hoibe Akuti, Kabe Hama Bujhabo Shri Jugala Priti. If we cannot understand Radharani without Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We cannot understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy without Rupa Goswami and the six Goswamis. We cannot understand six Goswamis without our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. That's the way to go. Prabhupada, you say Radharani's mercy. Radharani's mercy means you will bring us acharyas like how Prabhupada is now here for us. He has set up the whole system how to go back to her. So you can't, skip. You can't create your own pathways like that. Now you see, our Krishna consciousness, let's read the verse also, because केवल शब्दे पुनरपि निश्चय करण ज्ञान योग तप कर्म आदि निवारण. The use of the word kevala only prohibits all other processes, such as the cultivation of knowledge, practice of mystic yoga, or performance of austerities and fruitive activities. Sorry, yeah, austerities and fruitive activities. Yes. So, purport: our Krishna consciousness movement stresses the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra only, whereas those who do not know the secret of success for this age of Kali unnecessarily indulge in the cultivation of knowledge, the practice of mystic yoga, or the performance of fruitive activities or useless austerities. They are simply wasting their time and misleading their followers. When we point this out very plainly to an audience, this is important. When we point this out very plainly to an audience, members of the opposing groups become angry at us. But according to the injunctions of the Shastras, we cannot make compromises with these so called jnanis, yogis, karmis, and tapasvis. When they say they are as good as we are, we must say that only we are good and that they are not good. We should not only say that only we are good, but we should also say that they are not good. That's how we should deal with these groups. Not that, oh, okay, no, let me rub shoulders and no, Prabhu, we are engaging them in Krishna's service by, engaging their money or something. You are engaging their money at what cost? At you shutting your mouth about the truth. You are getting the money when you shut your mouth about the truth. Is that something we should do? We should state the truth plainly. You know what Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura said? Nobody has bought my head. You know what that means? He said, nobody has bought my head. That means their money, if they give me money, my head, my brain, my thinking cannot be changed. Oh, or the mouth is part of the head. My mouth is not bought. This is what he meant. They cannot buy my brain or my mouth with money. That means if they give me money, oh, I should not talk about the truth. I'm not going to do that. That's why he said, nobody has bought my head, and I'll never allow it to be bought. So that's how we should be. If they give money, good for them, but we should not stop speaking the truth. If we stop speaking if we start speaking the truth and he chooses not to be with us, and therefore I better not speak the truth so that he will be with us, that's not correct. We should always speak the truth. So when they say they're as good as we are, we must say that only we are good and that they're not good. Right? Okay, let's go back. Okay. So they were trying to give all these kind of suggestions to him to improve. Oh, he should not be so negative. He should be a little positive. Should be a little appreciative at least. No, no. I mean, appreciative in a sense that don't overdo it. Even if you appreciate, bring the people to your point. Not appreciate their thing, but appreciate the essence. For example, Prabhupada went to America. They asked him, "What do you think of Jesus Christ?" Prabhupada said, "Jesus Christ is our guru." Why? Because he sacrificed his life for preaching the name of God, and that's what a Vaishnava Acharya would do. We have so many examples of Vaishnava Acharya like Haridas Thakur, Prahlad Maharaj. So they all sacrificed their lives. So that is It's not an easy thing to do, and therefore we bow our head at his feet. So he said like that. But then he brought them to the essence of the point, which is they were trying to kind of put a sectarian uh, catch me, kind of gotcha question. They were thinking like that, but he cleverly routed it in such a way that actually he wanted to give them the universal principle of Vaishnavism. So in that way you can do, but don't stop preaching Krishna consciousness. Not that to satisfy. Yeah, actually, this is also good. We are also good in our Hinduism. Also, we have. Don't do this sectarian nonsense. Or you are good, we are good, all good. No, especially when there is contradiction, you have to call it out. Another common tactic. So reading on, another common tactic of opponents unable to digest the raw truth presented by Srila Sarasvatī Ṭhākura was to take exception with his mode of delivery, thus dodging discussion of his actual message. So they would criticize the way he said it. They don't consider what he said. No, how he said it. Oh, he said it in a very strong language, harsh language. What is this? How can a sadhu speak like this? You put your focus on what the sadhu said. Don't focus on how the sadhu said it. If he says it in harsh, strong, cutting language, it's actually good because it will immediately bring us to the point very fast. But to not address the point, but address the delivery, the mode of delivery, how it was delivered, how the point was delivered to you, that's meaningless. No, if you had said it in a nicer way, harsh language, it quickly delivers the thing, but it can also, of course, repel some people. But it's all right. Let them get used to it a little bit. Let them get used to it. But Srila Sarasvatī Ṭhākura was not to be inveigled by the apparent pragmatism of such self-serving cant. Okay, time for dictionary. Inveil. Okay, let me go to the dictionary.
Inveigle.
Oh, inveigled. Inveigle. To obtain by cajolery, by cajoling. To win over by coaxing, flattery, or artful talk. This is all, like flattering. Was not to be inveigled by the apparent pragmatism of such self-serving cant. Let's see what is cant. Come on. Where is it? Insincere. Hypocrisy, pretense, humbug, sham. Especially when used sanctimoniously. Tedious or hackneyed language, especially when used. So yeah, insincere talk, cant. So self-serving cant, pragmatism. oh yeah, it's very pragmatic. It's, it's practical. Yeah, I should just do it. But with that, what is happening? People may people may praise me, but we have learned this in our previous sessions that Trinadapisinichana Tarorapisa Amanina means not expecting respect. And if I speak the truth and people don't like it and they don't respect me, that is Amanina. I should still speak the truth. But if I don't speak the truth in order to get respect, that means that is self-serving. It's not Krishna serving, it is self-serving. So for my own reputation, I'm choosing to not speak the truth or try to hide it. That's not good. Apparent pragmatism. It sounds pragmatic. Yeah, it makes sense. If I want to preach this to many people, I should have many people listening to me, and for that, I should be a little bit toning down my delivery mode. No, just speak the straight truth. Even if nobody comes, just speak the straight truth. That's our. He knew that while among themselves such persons proclaimed loathing for everything he stood for, they feared to voice their opinions in the presence of even his junior disciples. Yeah. Lest they be philosophically demolished and exposed as the scapegraces they were. See, this is the thing. One second. Let's look at scapegrace. What is scapegrace? An idle, mischievous person, persistent rascal. Okay, much better word. Scapegrace. Uh, rascal is a bit more hard, so let's call them scapegraces. Where is that? Yeah. You see, he knew that while among themselves such persons proclaimed loathing for everything he stood for. These kind of people, when they were talking among themselves, they would say, "Oh, Bhaktisiddhanta he's like this, he's like that." But they feared to voice their opinions in the presence of even his junior disciples, not senior, not him certainly, not his senior disciples, not even his junior disciples. They feared not. Why? Lest they be philosophically demolished and exposed as the scapegraces or rascals they were. Even with the junior disciples, they did not dare to open their mouth. But this was the gossip that was going on amongst themselves, and the devotees knew about it. So that's the kind of standard Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura trained his disciples to be. That not just him, not even his senior, not even his junior disciples could be faced in an argument and go away without being defeated, thoroughly demolished. So, rather than reconcile with those whose real intent was to continue with undisturbed sense enjoyment, so we should not reconcile with the people whose real intent was to continue with undisturbed sense enjoyment. He went on speaking the truth in a manner virtually guaranteed to invoke enmity, thus inviting upon himself untold troubles and inconveniences. Untold troubles and inconveniences. So this is how he preached. We should get a little recently I was having a conversation with another devotee. That person was saying that we should not be too hard. We should not rile people up, or we should not agitate people. But here, Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura is teaching us something different. Not that we should particularly rile people up, that's not our mission. But if we speaking the truth, we'll rile people up just because of the truth. We can't do much. We can't sugarcoat it. We can't soften the blow, nothing like that. We should just speak the truth. Often, as soon as he nullified one argument, his opponents would fabricate another, calling on seemingly unending reserves of warped imaginative intelligence for weaving convoluted theories. So they would warped imaginative intelligence. They speculate like anything. He nullifies one argument and they come up with another one. But you see, he always invited upon himself untold troubles and inconveniences. He gladly embraced them in exchange for speaking the truth. If for speaking truth, this is what I get, I will face it. I'll take full responsibility for it, and I'm willing to pay the price to speak the truth. That's his mood. As soon as this will lead. So for weaving convoluted theories, so they come up with all sorts of things and they try to um, fabricate one or the other argument. And yet, as a committed soldier, Srila Saraswati Ṭhākura was not only bold but also unyielding. He never yielded under pressure. Remaining firm and equipoised on the battlefield, he shattered with the weapons of Shastriya knowledge, insight, and conviction the barrage of verbal missiles ever fired at him. Like a brave warrior on a battlefield. Despite the Gaudiya Mutt's multi-pronged, ingenious, sedulous, and widely acclaimed preaching campaign, relatively few were serious enough to wholeheartedly accept its teachings and the genuine devotional path. Sedulous. Let's go to what is sedulous. Persevering and constant in effort or application. Assiduous. Diligent. Assiduous. So his assiduous, persistent campaign, Gaudiya Mutt's preaching, relatively only very few were serious enough to wholeheartedly accept its teachings and the genuine devotional path. So there is this quotation now. The Gaudiya Mutt has been advertising its aims and objects and its methods in the most unambiguous manner, viz., by the words and deeds of all the inmates of its numerous branches and its wandering preachers. But in spite of its vigorous propagandist endeavors, the general public is hardly correctly informed of its character. The unique nature of its purpose and method has necessarily raised up a numerous body of opponents who believe in intellectual and humanitarian activities. It has been vehemently condemned by the orthodox sections of the Hindus. It has been supposed to be dogmatic, reactionary, and uncultured. The intellectual sections have kept aloof from it in sheer despair and in almost open contempt. The average so called religious person feels scandalized by the open deprecation of all good work. What does that mean? Okay, the previous sentence. I think most of the sentences were clear. It has been vehemently condemned by the orthodox sections of the Hindus. So the Smarta Brahmanas and all those birth based kind of orthodox understanding. Yes, they found it, you know, disturbing and they condemned it. Understood. It has been supposed to be dogmatic, reactionary, and uncultured. Because we use words like very strong words sometimes, rascal, stuff like that. Naradhama, the lowest among mankind, fools, all these kind of words are not supposed to be or not expected by the ordinary people to be used by a sadhu, but we use it nonetheless because Krishna used it and we have to repeat. So they think it's uncultured, it's not very polished language, it's like, what is this? Dogmatic. They only say Krishna and we must do like this, or reactionary. They react to everything and they try to prove everybody wrong instead of just showing their path, why should they criticize other paths? They should just, why should they react to somebody else what they're doing? This is all not very sadhu like behavior. Sadhu means, he should not react to others and criticize others. He should just be, smiling like that. Uh-huh. so, so this is what they think, and the intellectual sections have kept aloof from it in sheer despair and in almost open contempt. Intellectual people thought that these people are like very bad. This is not very, because they like people like Rabindranath Tagore, or Vivekananda or something like that, who spoke in polished language. Of course, Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura and his disciples also spoke in polished language, but then they criticized. They criticized all such gurus, whereas these people don't. Like Vivekananda, he criticized something, some socio-economic conditions of the society, but he did not criticize spiritual paths, other paths which are religious, pseudo-religious paths. He himself was a pseudo-religious. So, what he can condemn, how he can condemn others. So, it was acceptable to them, such people. But if, as Vaishnava, if you kind of criticize other, even religious paths, then that's not expected of a sadhu, is what they think. And so they had contempt for Gaudiya Math. The average so-called religious person feels scandalized, shocked by the open deprecation of all good work. Good work means all pious deeds, like demigod worship or humanitarian altruistic activities. Gaudiya Math condemned those things. Oh, this is not daya. This is real daya, means preaching. Other than that, all this mundane humanitarian thing is not really going to help. So when they deprecate all so-called good work of this world, they feel shocked. How can you say something like that? Like, we also say that you cannot take prasadam from the demigod temple. Wow. Only Krishna prasadam? Other prasadam is not prasadam? What is this? This is not Hinduism. They feel like this. But that's the injunction of Shastra. Anya puja chhadi. You have to give up all other pujas, all other sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. What is all this? Alpamethasa, those who worship demigods. Hritagnyana, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, they worship demigods. So, not only demigods, all things that are short of Krishna consciousness are deprecated by pure devotees who follow the pure devotional path. Everybody is persuaded that an institution which goes against the opinion of the generality of mankind is automatically proved to be wrong and absurd. Everybody is persuaded. So everybody thinks and persuaded with thinking that if an institution goes against the opinion of the generality of mankind, is automatically opposed to be proved to be wrong and absurd. If the whole people, the majority of the people think that this organization is absurd, yeah, everybody is saying they are, hey, what do you think about Gaudiya Math? Yeah, my friend told me they are quite fanatic people, they are quite dogmatic. Oh, stay away from them. Oh, okay. So just because of somebody's opinion, people form opinions. So everybody is persuaded that an institution which goes against the opinion of the generality of mankind is automatically proved to be wrong and absurd. Just because if we are against what the majority of people do, people think, how can so many people be wrong? I think they are right. That's how they think. But actually, no, all people are wrong. It is this inert self-complacency that has perverted most persons from lending their serious attention to the preachers of the Math. This is self-complacency. Why? What is self-complacent here? So complacent means not putting effort. So just because the rest of the people or majority of people or intellectual people of this world, they kind of think that Gaudiya Math is to this thing, then I just instead of myself, evaluating what Gaudiya has to say. Gaudiya means Krishna consciousness movement. I'm talking about that time. Now I don't endorse Gaudiya. Please, you come to ISKM. Okay. So we are talking about Gaudiya of Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura's time. Okay? Let that be very clear. So this self-complacency means not to make one's own endeavor to understand what is actually Gaudiya saying. Not just because somebody said Gaudiya is not very polished, they are not very good, they're not. They're very sectarian, very dogmatic, very fanatic, very exclusionary. If they use these kind of words, and then people think, oh wow, okay, that sounds very good words you have used. I think you must be quite learned and you must have gone through the whole thing. So I believe you. Why we should just believe? Why we should not take the effort to understand? That is complacency. So inert means not active. It is this inert self-complacency that has perverted most persons from lending their serious attention to the preachers of the mud. Because somebody else said it is bad. Oh, if I go now to Gaudiya Math, they will think I have become absurd. I have become weird. So let me not go because I don't want to get bad impression. So I want to stay in the association of Maya, and Maya keeps me from going to the temple and hear, they listen to the preachers. They have seemed to hear its message only out of their condescending courtesy. They have not listened to the message as to a matter of immediate practical importance. Condescending courtesy. What is condescending courtesy? I'll be nice to you. I'll be, yeah. Maharajji spoke something about Krishna. Okay, good. But I'll come I'll respect the sadhus, but honestly, actually, I'm doing the better work in society because I'm technological hero. These guys are spiritual zeros. I'm the technological hero. I'm doing the better job in society. But okay, some sadhus, they are saying something nice. Okay, something like it's a courtesy kind of thing, but looking down upon it as if it's not so important. And as if what they are doing is more important. They're on a higher pedestal. They know about life more than anybody else. So condescending, but courteous. Okay, I'll be nice. Sadhu, yes. If you really respect the sadhu, you will surrender. You will surrender. Whatever is mine is at your service. That's how we should be. But no, that's not what it is. That's not what it is. Condescending courtesy. What do you give to the sadhu? One small donation. Condescending. Yeah, you deserve this much. What is that? They have not listened to the message as to a matter of immediate practical importance. Immediate practical importance. Urgency. They have not felt the necessity of lending their really serious attention. Yet, Srila Sarasvatī Ṭhākura exhorted his followers not to be discouraged. The truth is always the truth. The genuine always genuine. Ordinary people may or may not accept it, but it never loses its glory or respectable position. The truth never loses its glory or respectable position just because people do not accept it. We are so used to seeing everything as a matter of public opinion. Like the leader who gets the most votes, he will be the leader. So it's public, like democracy. Or let's take the value of a certain company or a product. If there is more demand, the price will increase. Right? So it is the market is determining the price or the value of something. Market based. So if there is no market for something, that is usually considered cheap. Oh, nobody likes this. But is that explained here? No. So, but the point is, gold, real gold, has not many customers. So, majority, if you talk about majority, the majority of people, if there are two shops, one the real gold shop and then the other is imitation gold shop, you will have the majority of people going to the imitation gold shop because that's where that's what they can afford. Who can afford the real gold? They go to the real gold shop. So, majority who do not have the currency to who cannot afford the truth, they may not come. Majority may not be able to afford the truth. What do you mean afford the truth? Affording the truth means what is the price I have to pay? For example, if I go to a real gold shop for a necklace of real gold, how much price do I have to pay? What is the value of that necklace? Versus what is the value of the necklace in the imitation gold shop? How much money do I have to pay there? So if I can pay the money here, I can afford it. If I cannot afford this, I can afford maybe the cheaper version, which is the imitation one. So what is the price to pay to accept the message of the truth? I have to surrender my life. That's a huge price. I have to not everybody needs to become a sannyasi, but you have to give up a lot of materialistic things like no meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication, and you have to study the books, you have to chant the holy name, and you have to preach, you have to conduct, you cannot eat outside food, you have to eat Krishna prasadam, then your relatives will condemn you, your friends will try to mock at you, and all this is the price to pay to afford the truth, absolute truth. So you basically go against the whole world. So that's the price to pay. So that's why the truth is always the truth, just like gold, genuine, always genuine. Ordinary people may or may not accept it, or let's say afford it, but it never loses its glory or respectable position. The gold shop does not lose its respectable position because majority are not coming there. In fact, it takes pride in its minority. Only a few people can afford my product. The real gold shop owner will say only a few people can afford my products. It's elite, it's high class, like Rolex watch. If you have a Rolex watch, materialistic people, there for them it's for me it's like you're the most stupid fellow if you buy a Rolex watch. For me, I mean that's my opinion, because it has to just tell the time. This watch, which is like $22, maybe $25, something, will tell the time just as good. So one, so if I have a huge expensive watch that's like $100,000 or $1 million, and it is showing me the same time, what am I doing? Fool. But of course, the gold shop, he will think, oh, mine is a premium product. It's a premium. They use his words. What does it mean? That means you're not going to get a huge customer base. You're looking at low volume, high ticket sales versus high volume, low ticket sales in the imitation shop, or like this kind of watch you can sell a lot of these. So you have customer base, but what quality? So we are dealing in the most premium goods, which is Krishna Bhakti. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamate Kriyatam Yadi Kutopi Labhyate Tatra Laulyam Api Mulyam Ekalam Janma Koti Sukritairna Labhyate. So it is said that one must purchase Krishna Prema without delay, Krishna Bhakti. How to purchase? What is the price? Intense greed. Intense greed. If you have, then we can purchase. So greed means I'll do anything for this. I'll do anything for this. absolute greediness. So, reading on, ordinary people may or may not accept it, but it never loses its glory or respectable position. Maybe it will happen that within many aeons, means many millennia, only one sincere truth seeking person will appreciate the genuineness of the Gaudiya Mutt. Yet, such a person could effect auspiciousness for unlimited millions of people. And Prabhupada happened to be that person. One sincere truth seeking person will appreciate the genuineness of the Gaudiya. All of his disciples were, but they were not, I don't know. If you're really convinced, fully convinced means 100% self-realized soul. They were on the path, but did not make it somehow, and they fell away. But one sincere truth-seeking person will appreciate. Sincere means, you know what? What is sincere actually? Sincere means he has no other motive. In the beginning, we may be sincere. When we become more and more Krishna conscious, then the weeds will grow. What are those weeds actually? What are those weeds really? Those weeds are insincerity. Because now I'm not interested in Krishna, I'm getting interested more in myself. I want to be pratishtha, I want adoration, I want puja, I want people to worship me. Pratishtha, the upashakha gana, nishiddhachar, I'm now proud because I can speak so nicely, I can sing so nicely, I can cook so nicely, I can dress the deities so nicely, I can distribute so many books, I can do so many things. All this is my pride is increasing. In the beginning, I just came to serve. I even washing pots or washing the temple or the toilet or going out collecting donations on the streets. Nothing was. I took I took to it sincerely, but the sincerity will be tested at every moment. The more and more we are given more responsibility, do we still maintain the sincerity? There is a saying in English: "Power corrupts, and therefore absolute power corrupts absolutely." Not true. Not true. I wouldn't agree to that. Because there are people with absolute power and they're not corrupted. Like Dhruv Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Yudhishthir Maharaj. Absolute power, but it did not corrupt them. They were Akinchana Gocharam. Because they did not have a desire to enjoy that. So power, like Prabhupada had so much power. Absolute power over the entire worldwide organization. All the property, all the people surrendered to him without him paying a single cent to them. That much power, you if you have employees working under you, that's not much power because you got to pay them. Yeah, there's still some power, but they will not give you a life. They will not give their life to you. Here, he was not even paying, and they were giving their life to him. They were going out from morning to night, distributing books, and spreading the movement like anything at his bidding, all for no pay. Hmm? That is um, sincerity. That is power. Sorry, power, but it did not corrupt him. What does power do? Power reveals the corruption. That means the corruption was already there, but it just got revealed now. Yes, it does feed into it, it does amplify it, but the seed of corruption was there even in the beginning. So with watering, the seed will sprout and then it will grow. So the power reveals corruption, not that power corrupts. And absolute power does not absolutely corrupt all the time. It reveals or it magnifies the corruption that is already there. The seed of the corruption, if it is given facility to sprout, it may sprout. So we have to be very, very careful. We may think we are sincere in the beginning. Not so. Because really sincere, the most sincere person, you know what he sees? He sees insincerity in himself. If I think I'm sincere, it is 100% proof that I'm not. Because you see how Narottam Das Thakur or how Bhaktivinoda Thakur in their songs, how did they present themselves? Like just now we have seen in one song, Parasukhe Dukhi. If others are happy, I am unhappy by seeing them happy. That's how I am. Sada Paperata. Nahiko Punya Relation. Amar Jivan Sada Paperata. My life is full of sin. I have no trace of piety. So that's how a pure devotee, a sincere devotee, will look at himself. That's why the cleaning of the Gundicha temple, I have stated this in the Bhagavatam class the other day. Cleaning Mandir Marjanam, the competition among the devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he did the Gundicha Marjan Leela, when he cleaned the temple of Gundicha, the competition between them was not who can make this place look cleaner. Which, okay, your area is this, your area is this, your area. Okay, whose place will be more clean? No, that was not the competition. Who will collect more dust? Who will collect more dirt? That was the competition. Because I can make the place look clean, but they can be hiding dust. I have to, if I can clean more of that, that means it is actually clean. Every nook and corner has been, um, searched for dust and then picked out. The dust is picked from there. So, a sincere person will look for dust within himself, will look for the weeds within himself. If I think I'm sincere, I'm not. The sincere person will say, I'm not sincere. Look at this weed. Look at this seed of weed here. Look at this dust here. I have these problems. I have these defects. In fact, I have no good quality. I only see defects. That's not him hyper focusing on the negative and it is a pessimistic thing. No, it is positive. It is very positive. Then because only then we will improve. That is sincere. So only one sincere truth-seeking person will appreciate the genuineness of the Gaudiya Math. So men who are thoroughly honest, that word is used. Satam means men who are thoroughly honest. 1, 2, 17. So thoroughly honest are these people, sincere people. So we should always evaluate ourselves again. Am I sincere actually? Am I sincere? If I'm thinking I'm sincere, yeah, I think I'm sincere. That means I'm not sincere. I'm thinking highly of myself. That is a weed already. And given a chance, if 10 people will say that, oh, you are a great devotee, Prabhu, you are what a example of a devotee, you are a paragon of a devotee. That means it will get into my head. So I have to be very, very careful about this. Okay. So if that one sincere truth-seeking person appreciates the genuineness of the Gaudiya Math, that person could affect auspiciousness for unlimited millions of people. And Prabhupada is that person and he is already doing it. So reading on, and those who did allow Bhaktisiddhānta Vāni to enter their heart, the teachings of the philosophy of devotion, Bhaktisiddhānta Vāni, or the words of Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura. And those who did allow Bhaktisiddhānta Vāni to enter their heart, surrendering their life for its propagation, became so charged with transcendental energy that each man performed the work of many. Each man performed the work of many. Not that many people perform the work of one man. Each man performed the work of many. Thus, the voice of the Gaudiya Math was heard far and wide, making a significant and lasting impression on the cultural, religious, and philosophical life of Bengal and beyond. And yet, we do not know Gaudiya Math as popularly as, say, Vivekananda, Ramakrishna Mission. Right? Why? Because it is a very elite, premium product. It was known as a premium product I mean, or people like scorned it or whatever, but it made its weight, made itself known. So it became a significant part of Bengal, the philosophical life of cultural, religious, and philosophical life of Bengal and beyond. Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī untiringly strove to transmit Shuddha Bhakti to as many as possible. Yet his aim was not so much to collect numerous followers as to find but a single sincere person. So he did not want numerous followers. His aim was not to find numerous followers. His aim was to find that single sincere person. Because if he finds that one person, that's it. He will do the rest of the job. So he had very few but very, very qualified people with him, who unfortunately deviated after his departure. But whatever they have done, that is to their credit. Can't deny that. He would often declare, even at the expense of all these properties, temples, and mathas, if I could assist even one soul in becoming a pure devotee, my mission would be fulfilled. If you notice, this is the exact mission of Krishna. You see, Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura filled up, I mean, he had so many temples and properties and mathas. All for what? All that endeavor, all the big theistic exhibitions, festivals, great pomp, philosophical magazines, and festivals, taking loans for that, sending his devotees out for collections and preaching and traveling and preaching and all of that. What is all of that for? One, if I could assist even one soul in becoming a pure devotee, my mission would be fulfilled. And you may say, well, that's like only one. We think, how rare it is. How rare it is. So while we encourage everyone to, follow at their level and advance, but we should always, of course, make them sincere and find their faults and whatever, correct them and help them grow. All of that, to let them make as much advancement as they can. But that one sincere person who's actually sincere, he can go leaps and bounds, and he can fully preach. That's pure devotee, of course. So all of us, we have to take to this process and advance and take to the same mission. Now, why it is the same mission as Krishna's mission? Because just like Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura has constructed his temples, Krishna has constructed the entire material world. And all he wants is, when he exhales, the universe has come out. And he knows for 311 trillion 40 billion years this universe will last. I want at least one pure devotee coming out of this and going to the spiritual world. Actually, he wants all of them, of course. But then when they don't, he actually gets angry. As Sankarshan, he gets angry. And that is stated actually. I'll show you that. Yasya hava idam kalenopasannjihirshato marsha virachita ruchira bhramad bhruvor antarena sankarshano nama rudra ekadasha vyuhas tyakshas trishikam shulam uttambhayan udatishtat. Amarsha, anger. At the time of devastation, when Lord Anantadev desires to destroy the entire creation, he becomes slightly angry. Then from between his two eyebrows appears three-eyed Rudra carrying a trident. This Rudra, who is known as Sankarshan, not Sankarshana. That means son of Sankarshan, who came from Sankarshan. is the embodiment of the 11 Rudras or incarnations of Lord Shiva. He appears in order to devastate the entire creation. So he becomes slightly angry. Let's see. In each creation, the living entities are given a chance to close their business as conditioned souls. Why is this creation made? To close our business in this material world. When they misuse this opportunity and do not go back home, back to Godhead, Lord Sankarshan becomes angry. You see, what he wants is just what he wants everybody to go back. So if anybody actually goes back, he becomes very satisfied. And then the 11 Rudra's expansions of Lord Shiva come out of Sankarshan's eyebrows due to his angry mood, and all of them together devastate the entire creation. Now in the text 5, here Abhimarshana Unmathita Hridaya Makara. Lord Ananta's arms are attractively long, beautifully decorated with bangles and completely spiritual. They are white and so they appear like silver columns. When the beautiful princesses... Oh, is this the one? No, sorry, I'm sorry. No, not this. This next one, 525.6, yeah. Amarsha Rosha Vega Lokanam Swastaya Aste Saeva Bhagavan Anantonanta Gunarnava Adideva Upasamhritaamarsha Rosha Vego Lokanam Swastaya Aste. Lord Sankarshan is the ocean of unlimited spiritual qualities, and thus he is known as Anantadev. He is non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For the welfare of all living entities within this material world, he resides in his abode, restraining his anger and intolerance. Anantadev's main mission is to dissolve this material creation, but he checks his anger and intolerance. He's not here to maintain. His main business is to dissolve, because he just gets angry, but he's trying to be tolerant. This material world is created to give the conditioned souls another chance to go back home, back to Godhead, but most of them do not take advantage of this facility. After the creation, they again exercise their old propensity for lording it over the material world. These activities of the conditioned souls anger Anantadev, and he desires to destroy the entire material world. Yet, because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is kind toward us and checks his anger and intolerance. Only at certain times does he express his anger and destroy the material world. He also has his limits of patience. But of course, after he destroys, then after some time he says, you know what? Okay, let me give another chance. Let me create again. So like that, he's going on. So all this grand arrangement is for our benefit. Grand arrangement of the cosmic manifestation is for us to rectify ourselves. So similarly, Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura constructed so many temples and made so many activities for the service of Krishna to find that one pure soul, sincere soul. Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī avowed that even if the whole world were against him, or if not a single individual were to stay with him, or if those who had made a pretense of surrendering to him were to leave, still under the protection of his Gurudev's lotus feet, he would fearlessly and unceasingly preach the unadulterated truth until the last moment he remained in this world. This is exactly like that Christian saint, Augustine. He mentioned that if I speak if the world is against the truth, then I'm against the world. Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura said the same thing. In fact, he elaborated it more. If the whole world were against him, or if not a single individual were to stay with him, or if those who had made a pretense of surrendering to him were to leave, Because if you're really surrendered, you will not leave. If you're leaving, that's a pretense of surrender. Real surrendered people will never leave. Will never leave. They will never consider anything to be abused. You know why I leave? When I feel I am used, or when I have some weeds in my heart, then I will leave. Otherwise, there's no reason for leaving. No reason for leaving at all. So I must be what? I should not pretend to surrender. I should know what surrender means. Even if I am thrown out, I should beg my way back in. So that's the thing. Not that, oh, thrown, how can he throw me out and get angry and then go? That means I do not surrender. I don't even know what surrender means. This is why, to understand the mood of surrender, we really have to study so many examples of the acharyas and the songs that they write, the mood of prayer that they. What are we chanting every morning in the Shikshashtaka last verse? Ashlishyava padaratam pinashtu mam adarshanan marmahatam karotu va yatha tatha va vidadhatu lampatah mat prananathastu sayavanapara. You are my Lord, no matter what you do, whether you come before me, whether you trample me, whether you protect me, whether you kill me, it doesn't matter. You're my Lord, that's it. That's not going to change. I am not going to give that up, no matter what you do to me. We are chanting that every day. Do we understand it? You know, I was sharing this realization with some devotees about mantra. Mantra. These are all mantras. Shikshashtaka is a mantra, right? All those are mantras. All shlokas are mantras. What is actually mantra? What is mantra? Manatrayate iti mantra. So, the sound vibration which delivers the mind from the material world to the spiritual world, the womb of material world. You know, like the mother delivers the child. What does the delivery means? Now from the dark womb, the child has come to the light of this world, right? So similarly, we are in this dark womb of the material world. So to deliver us means we get delivered and out into the bright spiritual world. So that's deliverance. Manatrayate. So the sound vibration which releases the mind, or which releases the soul from the confines of the mind. The mind is keeping us here in this world because of so many material desires. The soul has to free itself even from the mind. Of course, the soul has a spiritual mind. On a material mind, it has to free itself from even the subtle body. So that sound which helps the mind gets released from the material bondage is mantra. Mantra cannot be used loosely. Oh, this is my mantra. Let's do it. Or impossible is nothing. This is my mantra. That's not mantra. Don't use it. These words have become loose and cheap in English in the way they are being used. But the word guru, the word pandit, the word mantra, yoga, all these words are used in English now, but it's in a very cheap way. But the full weight of these words we need to understand. Not anything is mantra. Any slogan is mantra. No, it's not. Only that sound which will release us from the material world and take us to the spiritual world, that is mantra. Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And all these shlokas are mantras to help release our mind and focus it on Krishna. And with the right mood. Focus on Krishna means with the right mood. If we do not have the right mood, we cannot focus on Krishna. Kirtaniya Sadahari will not happen if we don't have the right mood of Trinadapi Sunichena, Tarorapi Sahishnuna, Amanina, and Manadena. If we don't have that, we cannot do Kirtaniya Sadahari. If we are not humble, if we are not tolerant, if we are not, if we are expecting respect from others, or if I'm not giving respect to others, if my behavior is like that, I cannot be Kirtaniya Sadahari. Okay, and with the right mood, if I approach Krishna, that then I will be benefited. So these mantras, they are teaching us how to think. So as we are chanting these mantras, if my heart, if my mind is not there on the sound vibration that I am chanting, and not just hearing the sound vibration, understanding what the sound vibration means, and meditating on that message of the sound. If I don't do that, I'm not even touching the mantra. What is happening is I'm touching the mantrakshara. The alphabets of the mantra I have chanted. The sound of the mantra I have chanted. I have not chanted the mantra. It is like you have a bottle of honey, but you're licking the bottle. I'm not actually opening it and tasting the honey. So this bottle licking, honey bottle licking, will not help us. So when we chant Hare Krishna mantra, when we chant the Shikshashtaka, when we chant the Tulsi Arti song, when we chant the Samsara Davanala song, the Guru Ashtaka, the Guru Puja, the Guru Vandana song, which we chant in the Guru Puja time, all these, even Gaurarti, whatever songs and whatever shlokas and the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, when we are chanting these things, these are all mantras meant to release our mind from material bondage to spiritual emancipation. And if I don't focus my man on the mantra, then my man will become not trayate, but my man will remain as baddha, bound. My man will not become trayate. So these mantras are basically guided meditations. We have to meditate on Krishna, right? But how to meditate? These mantras will teach us in which mood to meditate on Krishna. In which mood should I consider myself? What is my true ego? Now I'm with false ego. I think I'm a super big time devotee. I'm like, even in my devotional life, I'm having full of pride. I'm full of pride. So this is false ego. So I have to. What is my true ego? What is that? Uncompromising surrender to Krishna. That should happen. Fully having faith in Krishna. Actually becoming humble. So that is actual devotion, real devotion. So these mantras help us how to think like that, how to think, how to meditate on Krishna, how to meditate on myself as a servant of Krishna, how to meditate on my service to Krishna, how to meditate on Krishna, how to meditate on myself in relation with Krishna, which is to be an eternal servant of Krishna, and how to meditate on my service to Krishna, and how to meditate on my relationships with other servants of Krishna, devotees, and outsiders. How should I behave? How should I carry out the order of my spiritual master? All these moods, how should I consider my spiritual master? How important it is. If I don't meditate on these things on a daily basis, on a regular basis, which the songs are helping us to do so, the mantras are helping me to do so. And that's what the Hare Krishna mantra is all about as well. So if my man is not there when I'm chanting the mantra, I'm not guiding my mind in the proper direction of thought. I will not benefit. What will happen then? Mantra akshara, the alphabets of the mantra are being chanted, the sound is being uttered, but my man is not there at all. So we have to be really attentive. So I'll read it again. Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī avowed that even if the whole world were against him, or if not a single individual were to stay with him, or if those who had made a pretense of surrendering to him were to leave, still under the protection of his Gurudev's lotus feet, he would fearlessly and unceasingly preach the unadulterated truth until the last moment he will remain in this world. And if someday that truth were to enter the ear of even one fortunate soul, then through that lone person, the entire universe would attain the topmost benefit. Citing the stanza, Koti Mukta Madhye Durlabha Eka Krishna Bhakta, even among millions of liberated persons, even one devotee of Lord Krishna is rare. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 19.148. He commented, considering that liberated persons are very rare, then what to speak of authentic Vaishnavas, who are so rare that even among millions of liberated persons, Vaishnava is hardly to be found. So, if as a result of our activities, 5 pure devotees were to emerge from among the 50 million people of Bengal, we could deem that an unexpectedly great success. 5 people from among 50 million people of Bengal. We could deem that an unexpectedly great success. You may think, oh, that's not a very inspiring number. Like 5 people you want to make from 50 million in Bengal? 5. What? At least 1% will be something, right? Like 50 million, 500,000? 500,000 would be, 1% of 500,000. That would be 1% of 50 million. But forget 500,000. Divided by 100,000, only 5. And that is not even like, that is already an unexpectedly great success. What? What is he aiming for? He's aiming for such a small movement? You may think like that. But because the quality is so great with the truth, it is so great because not many people are willing to surrender to the absolute truth. So it is so great that it's very, very, if we make enormous efforts to preach to 50 million, then 5 may actually become devotees. Pure devotees. That is, you see, even that did not work because he had so many, but ultimately they did not become pure devotee. Only Prabhupada, one person from the whole of Bengal, one person became pure devotee. So 5 would have been, whoa, unexpectedly great success. Now you would know. If you think, just imagine if there were 5 Prabhupads, 5 people of the caliber of Prabhupada, and they preached, what it would have been. Just imagine, that is the thing that he's looking for, 5 such people. So that requires huge amounts of work, and also that attitude that if we can get 5 pure devotees, and that does not mean we'll only aim for 5. No, we have to aim for millions to get that 5. It's a huge endeavor, but also it will give us the proper mindset to be patient, because we may see that, oh, despite all my efforts, nothing is happening, not many people are joining, and I may lose enthusiasm. But when I think like this, I become I always stay very hopeful, always very enthusiastic. Because if I want 50,000 devotees, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. So I'll be discouraged. Oh, it's not happening, it's not working. No. If this is the thing, then we will be very, very patient. And we will go through any amount of trouble to get that gem. And that's what we want, because that person can actually be the next, he takes the movement forward. Okay. When asked disparagingly, how many people know of Vaishnava Dharma? How many people will know of Vaishnava Dharma? So Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī responded, how many postgraduates are being turned out? How many Newtons have there been? Is it a wise principle to give up the culture of science because there are not many Professor J.C. Boses? It's true. You can't have many, millions of scientists, billions of scientists. No, it's a rare thing you because it's a qualified thing. Requires a lot of qualification. Um, let's see. Now it's already 9:20. Hmm. I think I should stop here. Let me see. Oh, we don't have too much, but it'll take some time actually to go through all of that. Maybe we'll go through that in the next session tomorrow. Hopefully, tomorrow will be the last. I'll read one more paragraph. Maybe. A headmaster once petitioned Srila Saraswati Ṭhākura. You are speaking of very high matters, but we are now in a nightmarish condition, a nightmarish state. Giving up fish and flesh is too hard for us. We are conditioned souls. Please give us an easy process. Srila Saraswati Ṭhākura replied, You are fallen in a well. I should not go down. You should come up to me. Don't try to pull me down. Stretch out your hand and I will pull you up. Don't try to make it too easy. We cannot give up our essential practices and allow eating of fish and flesh. Such words indicated the implicit tenor of Srila Saraswati Ṭhākur's message and mission to set exemplary standards and uplift others so that they could derive actual benefit, not to become co opted by humdrum religiosity of no real value for anyone. Co opted means, like, um, work, how to say, get absorbed into, co opted by humdrum religiosity of no real value for anyone. He did not want to become absorbed into humdrum religiosity. Or humdrum religiosity come into the movement. He did not want that. So, as you can see in this, how he replied, he was not, how to say, aggressive, or he was not angry, or he was, but he just spoke the plain truth. That's all. That's all it takes. When we say we should preach forcefully, that means this is what it means. He did not say, "You rascal, how can you, ask us to allow you to eat fish and flesh, and what is this? You have no brain or what? You are asking sadhu like this." No, he did not say anything. He said, he actually reasoned out, but he stood firm on his point. And such a person will not accept. That headmaster would not have joined, maybe. I don't know. But doesn't matter. He just said why it should not be done. Give reason. Hmm. Or let me let me see if I can actually finish it. Why don't we actually finish it? Let's try. Let's try. Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Saraswati never blenched at pointing out deviations from Shastra and Siddhanta. Blenched means never shied away, guess. Blench. Drawback or shy away. Yeah. So Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Saraswati never blenched at pointing out deviations from Shastra and Siddhanta. He never shied away. During a Gaudamandala Parikrama in 1925, while visiting the birthplace of Ishwarapuri in Kumarahat, in a speech, Kumarahat, In a speech to his accompanying disciples, he specified the discrepancies within the temple there. You see, he came to a place, Ishwarpuri's birthplace, and there's a temple there, Kumar Hut. And in the speech, he specified the discrepancies within the temple there. He could have spoken about Ishwarpuri's pastimes and this, he would have spoken about that as well, but he also mentioned this thing. The deity form of Ishwarpuri depicting him as an old man dressed in the white cloth of a grihastha. Before him was a deity of Nimai Pandit in a pose beseeching his mercy, like begging for Ishwarpuri's mercy. Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī explained that at the time of awarding initiation to Sri Chaitanya, Ishwarpuri was a sannyasi, and since he had not remained long in this world, it was inaccurate to portray him as aged. Besides, although Ishwarpuri had formally initiated Nimai Pandit, actually his mood was ever that of a servant to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so as to represent him as if the Lord's master was certainly against the intent of Shastra. So, although Ishwarpuri was the spiritual master of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he always considered himself a servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, to represent him as if the Lord's master was certainly against the intent of Shastra. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu begging from him initiation, that's not the mood. Ishwarpuri was kind enough to, was happy enough to become the spiritual master and in that way related to the Lord. Actually, he was always thinking of himself as a servant. And Ishwarpuri was a sannyasi, so he should not have grihastha dress, and he is not supposed to be depicted as an old man because he did not remain long in this world. Now, you may think that, okay, these are, come on, don't be so pedantic, one may say. But no, you look at him, just look at him, how he's making his comments. All those minute details, that actually shows that he is so conversant with the details of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes that even slight deviations from them he can point out. That means he is so knowledgeable about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, the intricacies, the details, everything. That means his meditation on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Ishwarpuri, all the whole entourage of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so clear that he is not to be fooled by these things. It's so clear. He even knew that Ishwarpuri did not, like how many of us know that he did not stay many years in this world? How many of us even know that? And how would we know that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would be begging from him or not? What is the intent of Shastra? How would we know? And Grihastha, Sannyasi, all this, do we observe that much? So, you see how he's observing. So, his criticism should not be taken as, oh, why you should criticize this thing. We should. If there is something to be criticized, it should be criticized so that the real thing can be told. Only to tell the real thing, not just to criticize. To bring out the real thing. So, moreover, the imaginative writings inscribed in the temple and that the puja was conducted with bael leaves and red hibiscuses, standard offerings to Lord Shiva, further indicated the worshippers' ignorance. So all these things he pointed out. Imaginative writings inscribed in the temple. There must be something maybe not from the authorized shastras or something imaginative. So we may go and think, oh, this is something, oh, what is written here? Oh, this is something written here. Oh, wow, this is written. He is saying this is imaginative, this is not. So, aggressive as he was toward all forms of hypocrisy. Now, this is interesting. Aggressive as he was toward all forms of hypocrisy, Srila Sarasvatī Ṭhākura sometimes recommended a tactful approach, such as suggesting gradual treatment of persons afflicted with the malaise of material life by dispensing homeopathic doses in sugar coated pills. Malaise. Is that how it's pronounced? Malaise. Okay, malaise. A vague feeling of bodily discomfort as at the beginning of an illness. Malaise. General sense of depression or unease. The malaise of material life. So, he recommended a tactful approach, such as suggesting a gradual treatment of persons afflicted with the malaise of material life by dispensing homeopathic doses in sugar coated pills. And that, better than directly naming popular bogus missions or individuals, was to expose the defects in their teachings and thus defeat them indirectly. To immediately identify rascals as such would cause others who were sentimentally attached to them to take umbrage and be unable to hear the intended message. Attacking on a personal level would unnecessarily engender acrimonious vendettas, thus dragging matters to a petty level and thereby sidelining philosophical understanding. Thus, Srila Saraswati Ṭhākura sometimes advised his disciples, don't say cow, but rather an animal with 4 legs, a tail, and 2 horns that gives milk. So, here is another tactful thing that, instead of naming somebody directly, we expose the defects in their teachings. And the point of naming or the teachings is to bring the person to the correct philosophical understanding. So, sometimes that was followed by even him, and sometimes he actually named them. Even his disciples, the same thing. Sometimes named them, sometimes did not. But either way, our thing must be to not ad hominem attacks. We should point out the philosophical deviations of such person, even if we name somebody. The philosophical discrepancies that the person may present is to be contested. But in the company of his followers, Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī unreservedly fulminated against charlatans and cheaters and the missions built around them. Charlatans means fake. Fulminated. Let's see what's fulminated. Fulminate. To issue a thunderous verbal attack or denunciation. To explode or detonate. To issue thunderously. To cause to explode. It's quite a explosive word, literally. Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī unreservedly fulminated against charlatans and cheaters in the missions built around them. Bengalis were proud of their various celebrities in science, politics, philosophy, and religion. Yet, on the strength of Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī dismissed them all as fools. And often the publications of the Gaudiya Math named and openly criticized certain celebrities. For instance, the September 1929 Harmonist targeted both maverick philosopher J. Krishnamurti and Nobel Prize winner Rabindranath Tagore, the most famous and revered poet of Bengal, for their vague, speculative approaches to spiritual life. The former outright discarding and the latter politely dodging Shrauta Pantha. So, although he also gave, sometimes he recommended a tactful approach and saying that, attack the teachings and not just the person. So here, so sometimes this other thing also happened where openly criticized, like publications of the Gaudiya Math named and openly criticized certain celebrities. So 1929 Harmonist targeted both maverick philosopher J. Krishnamurti, who was like not traditional at all. He's just putting his own ideas into Bhagavad Gita commentary. Such person, and Nobel Prize winner Rabindranath Tagore openly was criticized in the magazine. The first one, Krishnamurti, for discarding Shrauta Pantha. Means he discarded. What is Shrauta Pantha? Shruti means hearing. Pantha means path. Shrauta Pantha means the path of hearing. Disciplic oral reception through disciplic succession, the parampara system. Parampara system is called Shrauta Pantha. That means we have to hear the absolute truth, receive. Not that we speculate on things. We receive the transcendental knowledge through the parampara system. So the Krishnamurti, he completely discarded that, and Rabindranath Tagore was politely dodging. He wasn't as hard against Shrotapantha, but he politely dodged. Yeah, he was like, nice, but also, yeah, I have my own thing. So that kind of approach. So these were openly criticized. The most famous and revered poet of Bengal, not only Bengal, he was known India nationwide. Rabindranath Tagore. We read about him in all our history books and everything, his literature. So, but they were criticized. Yet, Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī did not simply criticize or call ill names or lash out whimsically or boorishly or over trivial matters. He condemned the attacking of others with a dissuading policy. He condemned the attacking of others with a dissuading policy as being the approach not of a pracharaka, preacher, but a prataraka, cheater. Right. I typed, what is dissuading policy? Dissuading policy refers to a strategic approach, law, or measure designed to discourage, prevent, or turn someone away from a specific course of action, often through persuasion, warnings, or the creation of negative consequences. Okay. So we want, if we attack others with a dissuading policy, that means we attack them to discourage them from coming to Krishna consciousness, or preventing them from coming to Krishna consciousness, or turn someone away from Krishna consciousness, or often through persuasion, warnings, or the creation of negative consequences, as being the approach of not of a pracharaka, preacher, but a prataraka, cheater. He explained on the basis of Shastra and philosophy, and that's actually very important. Because when we criticize or attack others, we should do it not in the manner that, oh, you cannot take to Krishna consciousness, but you have to change this part and become Krishna conscious. That's what we should do. So, now some people, when you criticize, they will not come back. They will not. But that's not the point of the attack or the aggressive criticism. The criticism should be done in a way to make them understand that this is wrong, this is right. If you're coming here, this is right. You have to accept this. And we have to show them also. We have to try. We have to try convincing them of the right thing. But if they don't want to come, then that's their decision. So many people were, discouraged by his straightforward preaching, right? So many people criticized him for his straightforward preaching and forceful preaching. But did he do that with a dissuading policy? That I'm preaching this so that they don't come here, I prevent them from coming? No. He wanted them to come with full acceptance of the conditions, that, this is the condition under which we can admit you. So you should accept these conditions for your own good. So it takes a lot of effort to train someone. So instead of that, if I just do something which, if I shout at someone because of my own misunderstanding or whatever, or it's not out of preaching, it's something else, but so that is not good. So that's not a pracharaka, preacher, but prataraka, cheater. He explained on the basis of Shastra and philosophy why whatever he was criticizing was certainly criticizable and must be criticized. His systematic Shastriya presentation of the Absolute Truth was clearly far above both mere dogmatic censure and the slushy emotionalism associated with Bengali Vaishnavism, and attracted many thoughtful followers whom he expected to assimilate on the strength of reasoned conviction, the asceticism, dedication, and unbreachable preaching spirit inherent to himself. So, by so he's saying that whatever I'm criticizing is certainly criticizable. Now, what is criticizable? What is criticizable? Let's actually there is I'll show you something. Hmm. 11, 13, I think 6. Let's see. Thirteen five. Hmm. Okay, you see, 11, 13, 5. तत्तत् सात्विकम् एवैषां यद्यद् वृद्धाः प्रचक्षते निन्दन्ति तामसं तत्तद् rajasam tad upekshitam. Among the 10 items I have just mentioned, the great sages who understand Vedic knowledge have praised and recommended those that are in the mode of goodness, criticized and rejected those in the mode of ignorance, and shown indifference to those in the mode of passion. So, what we should criticize is the mode of ignorance. And of course, the mode of passion also should be criticized. A real preacher will criticize anything that is, even he will criticize even goodness. This is an ordinary thing, this ordinary sages, but a pure devotee, he will not just, he may praise goodness to a certain extent, but he ultimately asks one to even transcend goodness. Traigunya Vishaya Veda, Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna. Traigunya Vishaya Veda, Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna. So, rise above the three modes. So, anything in the three modes is criticized. And if something within the three modes is being presented as if it is spiritual, that separation has to be made, and for that, criticism has to be there. No, this is not. This is not a part of bhakti. You got to separate. This is three modes. This is above three modes. This is the pure bhakti. So, like this, he has to separate the two always for the benefit of others. So that has to be what has to be criticized. Has to be criticized. So by Shastra, he always shown that he's criticizing only rightly. Let's go back. He explained on the basis of Shastra and philosophy why whatever he was criticizing was certainly criticizable and must be criticized. His systematic Shastriya presentation of the Absolute Truth was clearly far above both dogmatic censure. Dogmatic censure means, what is dogmatic actually? Let's see. Let's see the proper definition of dogmatic. Yeah, this is the thing. Asserting or insisting upon ideas or principles, especially when unproven or unexamined, in an imperious or arrogant manner. What is that? Asserting or insisting upon ideas or principles, especially when unproven or unexamined. in an impervious or arrogant manner. So this clearly classic dogma, forcibly asserted as if authoritative and unchallengeable. This is dogmatical. So he did not do just dogmatic censure. Censure means to criticize. Oh, he's asserting something which is not provable, whether it's really true or not. No, it is far above that, and it is also not slushy emotionalism. Oh, Radha, like crying on a stop. Nowhere there. Wake up first in the morning. So, associated with Bengali Vaishnavism, and attracted many thoughtful followers whom he expected to assimilate on the strength of reasoned conviction. Very important. We should assimilate the asceticism, dedication, and unbreachable preaching spirit. The thoughtful followers of Gaudiya Math, or now our Krishna consciousness movement, the thoughtful followers should assimilate or accept or adopt the asceticism. That means the tapasvi. We should accept the austerities of our movement and the dedication. He wanted thoughtful followers to be dedicated and have unbreachable preaching spirit. Unbreachable preaching spirit. That means nobody can defeat them, and nobody can lessen their enthusiasm for preaching. They should be firmly preaching, and despite all odds. That's what he wanted. That's what is inherent to himself. He was like that, and he wanted all thoughtful followers of the Krishna consciousness movement to be like that. On the strength of what? On the strength of reasoned conviction. They should be convinced to give their lives for Krishna based on reasoning, not simply some dogmatic assertions. Oh, you have to do this. Why? No. You should do this. You just do this. Don't ask. No, reasoned conviction. On the strength of reasoned conviction, the asceticism, the dedication, and unbreachable preaching spirit inherent to himself. Srila Sarasvatī Ṭhākura never considered that he had accomplished enough and was entitled to retire comfortably. No. Srila Sarasvatī Ṭhākura never considered that he had accomplished enough and was entitled to retire comfortably. Having declared unmitigating war on Maya, he established the paragon of a genuine preacher by fighting up to his last breath. Yet, even while battling for Krishna, he ever remained a saint and gentleman. As a perfect Vaishnava, even in opposing others, he retained intrinsic respect for them and always spoke on principles, never descending to the platform of personal feuding. Thus, many who were initially startled by his forceful speaking were gradually won over by the cogency of his teachings. His sincere concern for others, as manifested in his unflinching adherence to truth, and his other extraordinary godly qualities. Perfect summary, perfect closing statement of his preaching mood. Let's see the word cogency. Cogent, appealing to the intellect or powers of reasoning, convincing, a cogent argument. Example. Cogency, the quality of or state of being cogent or power to convince. You see? So even when opposing others, he retained intrinsic respect for them and always spoke on principles, never descending to the platform of personal feuding. Thus, many who were initially startled by his forceful speaking were gradually won over by the cogency of his teachings, his sincere concern for others, as manifested in his unflinching adherence to truth, and his other extraordinary extraordinary godly qualities. So that's the chapter. That's the end of that chapter. So I think, thank you all for your patience. I think we'll go through the questions now. Dina Krishna Prabhu is asking, where do we draw the line when preaching should be direct or not? Srila Prabhupada preached accordingly, but Krishna was always in the center. ISKCON is trying the same yet introduce unnecessary things. When to draw the line when preaching should be direct or not? It should always be direct. What do you mean? For example, I'll give you an idea. You know, in our Hare Krishna consciousness, other factions of the Krishna consciousness movement, I have seen they do something like stress control course or something for students or working professionals. So in that, they hardly touch upon real Krishna conscious philosophy. That's not good. That's not good. Even if I say stress relief or whatever, I should show that real stress means to remain in this material world, suffering the cycles of birth, death, old age, and disease. We should show them that this birth, death, old age, and disease not just once for this one lifetime. You have to experience it many, many lifetimes, and this is the truth. Bhagavad Gita is stating this. So the real stress relief one will only get if we become Krishna conscious and go back to Godhead. So we have to present the permanent solution, even if we have. But if I just show some mundane quotes and something, and then a little bit of Bhagavad Gita here and there, like small doses, that is not good. So we should always preach from the Shastra directly, the full thing. We may address the topics that they are concerned with, but we should present our science fully. So it should always be direct. Dina Krishna Prabhu is saying, I heard from a devotee that I don't care for other people. I have to save myself at least. How can I save others? It was sad to hear that because he's my friend. He said, I don't have compassion. Okay, this is a good point. Now, such a person is actually, he does not only not have compassion, he actually does not have any regard for his own goodwill. Because our preaching, I said this before a few times, when we are preaching, we are not actually saving other people. We are saving ourselves. Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura, I think I mentioned this in the other seminar that I did, which was, what is that? Collection and spending, fundraising. And there he mentioned this point that when you go out to meet people, you have to preach the truth uncompromisingly. Why? To help them listen to the truth, but also more importantly, to help yourself. When you tell this to others outside, you yourself have to behave according to those things that you are saying. So for example, if I say we should only eat Krishna Prasadam, then I will be judged if I don't eat Krishna Prasadam. So I will have to eat also Krishna Prasadam. That's good for me. So when we preach strongly, then we are putting ourselves in check. It's not more about the other person. We are when we are preaching, we are purifying ourselves. So when he says that I don't care for other people, I have to save myself, you cannot save yourself if you don't follow the order of the spiritual master. The order of the spiritual master is to preach. They say, oh no, the order of the spiritual master is to chant 16 rounds and follow the four principles. No, no, no. That is just to make you fit in order to go to preach. What did Prabhupada say? The order of my Guru Maharaj was to chant some rounds, 64 rounds or whatever. Was that the order? That was not the order. That was just to make ourselves spiritually fit to execute the order. The real order is to preach. Jarate kha, tare kaha, Krishna Upadesh. And Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura's order specifically was to preach in the Western world. That was the order. So our order by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and by Parampara, by Prabhupada, is to preach, not to save them, to save ourselves. And the more we preach about Krishna, the more we speak about Krishna to others, we will revise those topics in our mind, in our heart. Plus, when people mistreat us, we will learn tolerance. If I'm not going to meet anyone outside, how am I going to learn tolerance? How am I going to become humble? And what is humility? Humility means to preach Krishna consciousness, to be humble to the truth. What is actual humility? I will not know if I don't go out. This world is like a workshop for the mind. When we go out to preach, we are training our mind. We are not. There are two kinds of preaching. The pure devotee, like Prabhupada or Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura, such acharyas, when they come here in this world, they come here to purify us. They come here to purify us. When we preach, we preach to purify ourselves. I just said this in my last Bhagavatam lecture. I'll take it there again. When Prabhupada is preaching, he's preaching to benefit us. When we are preaching to benefit ourselves. Okay, let me take this question out. Okay, you see, here is this verse. When you go to Ganga river, when we bathe in the Ganga river, we get purified, right? So Ganga, before coming down into this universe, on the earth, she did not want to actually come. Bhagirath, he brought her down. So he was requesting her to come. She said, no, I don't want to come. Why? Then one of the reasons she said was, oh, okay, I think above this, you see what she said, what Ganga said. Kim chaham na bhuvam yasye nara mayyam mrijantyagam mrijamitadagham kvaham rajam statra vichintyatam. O king, Ganga Devi is saying, I do not wish to go down to the planet Earth. For there the people in general will bathe in my water to cleanse themselves of the reactions of their sinful deeds. When all these sinful reactions accumulate in me, how shall I become free from them? You must consider this very carefully. So people will come and take bath in Ganga and they get purified. They get purified. They are going to Ganga to purify themselves, right? So then, but Ganga will become impure because of that. Ganga is saying, I'll become impure with all those sinful deeds that they have committed. How shall I become free from them? You must consider this very carefully if you're asking me to come down. Then Bhagirath said something very important. Sri Bhagirath Uvacha Sadhavo Nyasinah Shanta Brahmishtha Loka Pavanah Harantyagam Tenga Sanga Teshvaste Hyagabhidharihi. Bhagirath said, those who are saintly because of devotional service and are therefore in the renounced order, free from material desires, and who are pure devotees, expert in following the regulative principles mentioned in the Vedas, are always glorious and pure in behavior and are able to deliver all fallen souls. When such pure devotees bathe in your water, the sinful reactions accumulated from other people will certainly be counteracted. For such devotees always keep in the core of their hearts the Supreme Personality of Godhead who can vanquish all sinful reactions. So when the pure devotees come to bathe in your water, they will purify you of all the sins, accumulated sins of every sinful person who has come and took bath in your waters. So now look at this. Externally, how it looks. We are going to take Ganga Snan. Prabhupada is going to take Ganga Snan. Looks all same. I am also same as Prabhupada. No? Prabhupada is going, I am also going. It's okay. Worlds apart. We are going to purify ourselves. Prabhupada is going there to purify Ganga. I mean, this is Bhagavatam statement. It's Bhagavatam statement. So similarly, preaching, when we do preaching, we are not big saviors and we are not going to Ganga to purify Ganga. Hello. Similarly, when we are going out to the world to preach to people, we are not purifying them. We are purifying ourselves. But then how will they become purified? What is the purpose of preaching if they don't become purified? They will also become purified because the word that we are saying is Prabhupada's words. That's why we should preach only the pure words. Then they will also become purified because it's Krishna's teachings coming through the parampara, through Prabhupada, and we are speaking the same thing. So that will act on them, but more importantly, it will act on us. To save ourselves, we have to preach. If I don't go out and preach, I cannot save myself. I'm sorry. Because saving oneself is not done. What is that? Nirjaner ghare. Tumi kiser Vaishnav? Dushtaman. Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura, what did he say? Dushtaman tumi kiser Vaishnav pratishthar tare nirjaner ghare tava harinam keval kaitav. My dear mind, what kind of devotee are you? Simply for cheap adoration, you sit in a solitary place and pretend to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. But this is all cheating. Thus, Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Ṭhākura advocated that every devotee under the guidance of an expert spiritual master preach the bhakti cult, Krishna consciousness all over the world. See, if I want to save myself, you know what I should do? This is what I should do. No. आचार्यर मत जय शय मत सार तार आज्ञा लघि चले सेट असार. The order of the spiritual master is the active principle in spiritual life. If I want to remain, if I am concerned about my own spiritual life, the active principle in that spiritual life is the order of the spiritual master. If I have relinquished the order, anyone who disobeys the order of the spiritual master immediately becomes useless. So if I want to save myself, I have to stick to the order of the spiritual master. And what is his order? Preach, book distribution, organizing, making people devotees, cooperating with temple management. All this is, we have to do what we should preach. Also, not preach just whimsically. Preach according to what Prabhupada has told us how to preach in the association with other devotees. So that's how we advance. There's no other way. You can't try to advance without preaching. There's no way. There's no way, because we are rejecting the order of the spiritual master. Our advancement is based on the order of the spiritual master. Ekeha kurunandana vyavasayatmika buddhir. We should single-pointedly focus on the order of the spiritual master for our deliverance. We don't have compassion, unless we're a pure devotee, we cannot have compassion. We can develop progressively more and more compassion, but we don't have complete compassion yet, because we are still conditioned souls. So in order to get that compassion, to actually grow in that spiritual life, in our Krishna consciousness, we have to just execute the order. We are not preaching because of compassion. When a absolute newcomer who just goes out to distribute books, is he having a lot of compassion for the people? No, he's scared. Like, what will people think of me? And like, what if I don't sell? Like, he's thinking of so many things. He does not have compassion yet. He's doing that and getting purified. He's learning, on the job training. That's very important. We learn a lot of lessons in the Sankirtan if we really do it with contemplation. The key is contemplation. If we don't contemplate, we will miss the point. We will miss everything. We will miss the real lessons that we can learn. Should be able to contemplate. So compassion nobody has. We should be interested in ourselves. If I'm not interested in others, if I'm interested just in myself, I should just go and preach. Another question, Dina Krishna Prabhu. On the one hand, we have to be qualified to save others, but does it mean we can't preach until we attain perfection? I just said, um, by executing the order of the spiritual master, we become qualified. So we can preach what we know and sell the books, and then not just sell the books. We have to, when they read the books and come, we have to now train them. Oh, selling the books is only preaching. No, 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 no. When they read the books, selling the books, of course we have to sell the books. Absolutely. But then when they come after reading the book, then now you have to train it. Now you're just starting. You have to train the person up until becomes a pure devotee. So that I have to work on myself and I have to work on them. In that way, I work on myself. In that way, it happens. The purification happens by our constant engagement in the preaching service. So we become purified, they become purified, everybody becomes purified by that. Insincerity reminds me of 422:32. There is no stronger obstruction to one's self interest than thinking other subject matters to be more pleasing than one's self realization. Absolutely. Oh, this is actually good. Wait, 422:32. Let's go there. नातः परतरो लोके पुंसः स्वार्थव्यतिक्रमः यदध्यन्यस्य प्रेयस्त्वम् आत्मनः स्वव्यतिक्रमात्. There is no stronger obstruction to one's self-interest than thinking other subject matters to be more pleasing than one's self-realization. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So true. Wow. That's a very good one. 422:32. I never realized that. One one six purport. To hear and explain them is more important than reading them. Bhagavatam 11:6 purport or 116 purport? 116. The Puranas are also parts of the Vedas, and histories like Mahabharata or Ramayana are also parts of the Vedas. The Acharya or the Goswami must be well acquainted with all these literatures. To hear and explain them is more important than reading them. One can assimilate the knowledge of the revealed scriptures only by hearing and explaining. Hearing is called Shravan and explaining is called Kirtan. The two processes of Shravan and Kirtan are of primary importance to progressive spiritual life. Only one who has properly grasped the transcendental knowledge from the right source by submissive hearing can properly explain the subject. Submissive hearing. Very good. Madhya 26. Madhya 20.6. 6. Very nice. If one releases a conditioned soul or imprisoned person according to religious principles, he himself is also released from material bondage by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. एक बंदी छाड़े जदि निज धर्म देखिया संसार हईते तार मुक्त करेन गोसाइया. Very nice. Oh, this is to them. Cheat the Muslim superintendent. Okay. All right. So thank you very much. Nice references there. And we have concluded this session. I mean, this series of Revolutionary Preacher. There are other things also about Bhaktisiddhanta's life which I would like to cover, but we also need to get back to the Bhagavad Gita and Chaitanya Charitamrita classes. So maybe after some gap, maybe on a Wednesday, I might have to take those classes. Let's see how it goes. Thank you very much. जय श्री भक्तिसिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे. हरि हरि बोल. हरे कृष्णा.